You know, as an agency owner, I get asked all the time, what is SEO? Well, it's search engine optimization. Now, while this video could take hours to explain, I want to cover some of the basic things that you need to know, regardless if you're a small business or you work for an organization and you're trying to increase traffic. So search engine optimization is nothing more than how do you optimize content. Now, today we're going to be looking at what you do on a website as opposed to offsite SEO. But what do you do to help the search engines, Google and the other ones, find your website? Because we're talking about on-site SEO. So I'm just going to use this whiteboard. We're going to go old school today. And I'm going to grab a marker and we're just going to write this down. So search engine optimization, what is it? Search engine optimization. Hey, ding, ring the bell. Okay, what does that really mean? Well, imagine going into a bookstore. For some of you, you'll have to Google what a bookstore was. But if all the books were piled in the middle of the lobby and all the jackets were white, and someone came in and said, hey, we want you to go sort the books out. Well, how would that person be able to do their job? If all the books are white and there's no graphics or pictures on the books, there's no way that person knows what category that book should be organized in. Well, that's the same thing that happens with a website. If you have a website, it's like your book is plain white. And if you don't have the proper elements on your website, then you're not going to be properly ranked or indexed in the search engine. So whatever your favorite search engine is, today we're going to be focusing a lot more on Google. But again, on-site SEO, what do you really need to know from a layman's perspective? Well, there's a few things that you need to do. Number one, first concept is graphics attract attention, text is what sells. As it relates to SEO, we're really talking about the text and the code. We'll get into some of the code, but I don't want you to get too seduced by technology. But what do you start with the text? Well, first you have to ask yourself, what are my users going to search for? So the first step of SEO is you need to do keyword research. But keyword research is in 5 different categories. So if you think about it like a funnel, the category at the top, it's very broad terms. So it depends on your business and industry. So you want to think about, what are the top challenges faced in my industry? What are the top questions people have about my products and services? What organizations am I a member of? And you want to really think about contextually, what would someone put into a search engine to find your business? And we're talking about on-site SEO, right? So the first thing is they have to be aware that there's a problem. So awareness, you want content on your website that isn't necessarily just about the products and services you offer, but around the problems and solutions that you provide. So people have to be aware there's a problem. Number 2, so that's number 1. Number 2, is this fancy, guys? I hope you can read this on the little monitor there. You have awareness. Then you have research. Talk about old school. This is real old school. All right. So you all use the internet. I guarantee you, I don't even know you, but whether you're watching this on YouTube or watching this in a training video somewhere, you use the internet. And you go to whatever search device and you're searching for something. You're going to search around the problem. You're looking for a problem or solution to a problem. And then you're going to start going deeper. And your terms, your keywords are going to get more specific. And we're going to go through the exact example in a second. But then you're going to start researching. After research, you're going to find some solutions. But then you're going to compare. You're going to compare this solution to that solution. Then you're going to shop. Now you know what solution you're looking for, and now you're trying to find someone that sells or delivers whatever you're searching, whatever the result is. And then 5 is buying. So take your notes out, get your notepad out, because I'm going to erase this. To do your keyword research, you first want to put yourself in the mind of the prospect and think, what would someone search in a search engine for at these different phases of the buying process. They're aware there's a problem, then they go deeper, the search terms change, then they start comparing one option to another option. Now they know what they want, and now they're actually buying. So what a lot of people do, this is actually where the transaction or the lead takes place, depending on what your business is, B2B or B2C. It's really P2P, right? It's people to people. The buying process, this is where everybody focuses. So I want to put keywords just around my product. Well, if you do that, you're losing 90% of the traffic because you're only focused down here on the actual keywords that relate to your product and service. And there's so much more to the customer experience in that. So there are all kinds of keyword tools you can use. I recommend that you go to Google and you go to your Google AdWords account and you use the Google Keyword Planner. So that's one, the Google Keyword Planner. And hopefully Alex will put some graphic up on the screen on where the people can find this later. So the Google Keyword Planner. Number two, so I want you to do the Google Keyword Planner. Number two, I want you to go to Google and I want you to start typing, back to our fancy website here. I want you to go to Google in the search box, and as you start to type characters, you know how it drops down and it has all those suggestions? Well, that's called Google Suggest, and there's a little trick. Down here in the corner, there's going to call something called Report. Well, you don't want to report it. You just want to copy all of those suggestions and jump over to Excel and paste it in Excel so you get all the keywords that are from the suggest. So as you start to type and it gives you keywords, you want to look at that because the Google Suggest tells you what other people are searching for. The next tool is YouTube Suggest. So go to YouTube and do the suggest on that. So when you start to type into YouTube and it starts to fill it out, and look at what types of videos have the most views and what are the keywords and the descriptions used in that video, and then that helps you understand what type of content we should put on our website. Now we're all in the research phase right now and doing keyword research. This is all so far, phase one is about keyword research. But more importantly, let's do something even better. Seriously, what are you thinking? Go to chat.openai.com, log into your account, and prompt ChatGPT to do keyword research on your topic and industry. The key to using ChatGPT or AI, or whatever AI service you want to use, is in the prompting. So if you say, I'm a local dentist in Wichita, Kansas, and I want to create SEO optimized homepage copy with meta tags and descriptions for my website, will you please give it to me? And it'll do it for you. So yes, you can do this old school and you can go to Google and you can do all the manual work, which I do highly recommend that you do. But I also recommend that you use AI to get the keywords so that you are clear on what are the search phrases that people should use. There is another website that I use also. It used to be free, now it's paid, called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. These are not affiliate links, by the way. But I want you to go to answerthepublic.com, decide if you want to do a test account, and you can do research on answerthepublic.com on your keyword, and it'll give you all of the different, it'll give you hundreds of different topics that people are searching for related to that industry term or keyword. So lastly, on the keyword part, and then we're going to move on, is there's a keyword plus modifier. I mean, really, think about it. Do I want to search just for dentist? Or do I want to put some modifiers? Near me, Wichita, Kansas, orthodontist, good with kids, top rated. So the other words that you add with the main word are called modifiers. There's all different types of categories of modifiers. There's demographics and psychographics. There's quality, format. There's hundreds of different modifiers. And as a business owner or someone who works to try to get traffic, you just need to understand that a keyword and modifier is the phrase that someone's going to type into the search engine, and the more specific the phrase is. Now, keep in mind, the search engines are not the same as AI as ChatGPT. What you type into ChatGPT is a conversation. Treat it like an intern. It's a different conversation. ChatGPT is not a search engine, okay? While it will help you with some keywords, it doesn't necessarily, as of the time of this recording, have everything that's current. But it certainly will have enough that'll help you leverage it. You could also say to ChatGPT, what are the top 5 things I need to do on my website? And it's going to give it to you. All right, but this is better. It's real human being, right? All right, so we did our keyword research. So now you're like, okay, great, Emily. I have all my keywords. I know what people want. How do I use that content on my website so that people can actually, so that Google and the other search engines can actually index my site? So let's cover the things that you need to do on your site. So first you got to do the research to get the keywords. Number 2, this is what you need to put on your website. Got it? Okay, crowd, say yes. Yay, everybody says yes. Okay, so we're going to talk about what you need to put on your site. Well, here's our imaginary web page again. Really fancy, not even using other colors right now. But you know what? I think that's a great time to change the color. All right, let's use a different color. So, what do you need to put on your site? Number 1, page title. Look at me, Alex. I'm even writing it out so hopefully people can see it. Page title. Number 2, meta description. I'll tell you what these are and how to fix it in a second. Number 3, H1 tags. That's just a tag that goes on your website that helps the search engine know that that is describing what the content's about. Number 4, keyword-rich content. But I'm gonna change it from keyword-rich content to contextually relevant content. So it's not about stuffing words. So I'm a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. I don't want a page that says, Ford Sakes is a Hall of Fame keynote speaker that speaks to franchise organizations on accelerating growth to their franchise conferences, to franchise, like, come on, let's get real. Nobody wants that crap. Always write your content for the reader, not for the search engine. So focus your content on the reader, because again, the search engines are all AI anyway, and if you garbage in, garbage out, and you try to stuff it, it won't work anymore anyway. So you have to have really good I would say excellent content, but specific content to a page. So all of these things have to be unique on every page. So if you've got a website with 80 pages, you need 80 different page titles, 80 different meta, it has to be unique per page. So you have the page title, you have the meta description, you have the H1 tag, you have the content, then you have alternate text and tags, alternate alt tags and alt text. What that does is when the content loads on the page, you're telling the search engines what your content is about. So I have a client, he's blind. His name is Lex Gillette. He's a Paralympian, he's a world record holder, long jumper, and he's blind. So when he goes to a website and loads a website, he can read all the text with his reader, but the alternate text tells him what the images are. So if you have an image over here and it says logo 400 by 400 version 1, that doesn't help him. So, but if it says Ford Sakes on stage, well then at least he gets an idea of what the content is about. So it's taking graphical elements and using alternate text to describe the visuals that are on the page. So, and that's something you can do in your code. Number 6, you're going to have links. But when you have links on your page, you want them linked to the other sections of your site, but you want keywords linked. So if I was doing a sales page, I wouldn't want to link the words click here. I could, but click here isn't relevant. But if I say keynote presentations, and then I link that to my keynote presentations page, that helps Google understand what the context of my site is about. And then, of course, we could talk more about backlinks and how you get authority and all that. But the main thing you want to do are these 6 things here. Now, remember, when I started this, I said, graphics attract attention, text is what sells. You can have the best content in the world, but Google is still smart enough to know how it's described. So for those of you, maybe you're just wanting to create blogs so that you can get better rankings in the search engines, you can attract more eyeballs to your website and capture more leads. Well, if you're blogging, you can follow all this, but if you don't format your blog for the search engines, you won't get ranked. So I can take the same content. So let's say I was doing this video as a blog. I would want to have a title of the blog, easy ways to leverage local SEO or something like that. That's actually not a good title, but I would come up with a keyword-rich title that I think someone was searching for. Then I would have a featured image. But that featured image is going to have an alt tag that's going to help understand. I'm going to have a description. Now the meta description, by the way, these two things are in code. That's what goes behind the scenes. So the page title is when you hover over the top of the tabs on whatever browser you're doing, you see how it gives you that little overlay text. That's the page title. Well, that gets done in WordPress or in Yoast or Rank Math. There's all these plugins that you can use to do that, or whoever you hire to do your website. But you as a business owner or an executive or a staff member has to give the programmers the actual code, because believe me, they don't know what the hell they're doing and they can't SEO. So I'm going to get a bunch of hate mail, which I don't care, because I've hired hundreds of web developers and most of them don't understand SEO. They understand what the concept is, but they don't know what words actually are going to help move the needles. So the page title is definitely an SEO thing. The meta description really doesn't help with Google with the rankings. It helps when the search results come up, and it helps someone identify what they should click on. So it's really the subheadline for the link. And so you want to write the meta descriptions to the reader so that they click on the link. So the meta description is like the headline for the link, okay? All right, so H1 tags, there can only be one H1 on the page. So if this was the blog post, the title of the blog would be the H1. There'd be a title up here. This is going to be the H1 tag. So it's going to be the keywords, because that tells Google what it's about. The featured image is going to have it. And then I'm going to label the content. Now the key to the content is if I just put a big block of text here, that's not a very good user experience, and Google knows that. They have AI. It can detect what's on the page. So if I want my page to be found and consumed, I'm going to want to use lists. I'm going to want to use Q&A. I'm going to want to use paragraph headers, and I'm going to want to use bullets. And so the paragraph headers are things that you know people are searching for. So like we'll go back to keynote speaking, since I've been talking about the whole show. So I'm going to say, okay, 5 reasons you need a keynote speaker for your franchise event. And then I'm going to give 5 reasons. And I'm going to say, what makes a good keynote speaker? And I'm going to answer the questions. The questions are actually going to be paragraph headings. And then there's going to be bulleted lists under each one. And when Google looks at that content, it's going to go, wow, that's a really good blog post. It's very helpful. And that's going to get better rankings in the search engines. It's also going to create, we've all gone to Google, and when you search for something and it gives you those rich snippets of text on Google, because it shows you how to improve your golf swing, or people always ask. That is Google's way of searching the internet and bringing in relevant search results above the organic listings. So if you want to get a competitive advantage on the search engines, you need to go back to your website. You need to do your keyword research, do an audit, and there's all kinds of tools, or you can go to primeconcepts.com, everybody, and you can plug in your details for a free or complimentary, it's okay, we're not doing email marketing, a free digital footprint critique, where I will get on the phone with you and I'll take a look at your website. I'll look at your rankings. I'll look at your value propositions. I'll look at your action steps. I'll look at your lead capture elements. And I'll show you, just in a very short call, some ways that will help you improve your influence, build your subscriber list, capture more leads, and hopefully increase your sales. So what are the action steps for today's episode? Number 1, start where you are with what you've got. Take an inventory of your website. Go look at your website through the eyes of a prospect. Then go to Google and look at how you're ranked. Now there's all kinds of tools. Our agency uses a program called SEMrush. I pay a couple grand a month for it, but we put our clients in it. And then that spits out all the reports telling us your opportunities to improve your rankings based on your industry and your ideal client profile. So you want to go do your research first, then you want to look at it through the eyes of a prospect, then you want to look at it from the code and make sure you have page titles that are unique, You want to make sure the meta description is the headline for that. You want to make sure the H1 tags match. These have to match. The content has to match. The alternate text needs to be descriptive. Imagine you were blind. If those graphics came up, what words would you want to name there? There's all kinds of page load speed and other things you can do technically to help rank. There's actually over 310 elements on a website on how to improve the rankings. So be clear, this video is not meant to be all-inclusive of everything you need to do, but certainly if you just do the basics, the page title, the meta description, the H1 tags, relevant content, alternate tags, and links, if you do that and you look at how it's formatted visually, you will get higher rankings. The question is, when it comes to page titles, should the company name be in it? So let's just talk about page titles for just a second. First of all, there's a limit on how many characters you can put in a page title. There's some do's and don'ts with page titles. The order of the words make a difference. The number of words make a difference. And personally, no, you do not need your company name on every page title. In fact, that actually can work against you. If they already know your company name, they're going to find you. So you don't want to dilute the page title by adding in the company name when it takes the juice away from that search phrase. So for me, is franchise keynote speaker, I want the page about franchise keynote speaker. I don't need my name on it, because if someone's Googling and they don't know who I am, I want the page to rank. I don't want my name on it. Now, if I'm a local business, you do want what's called geocode. So geocoding is where you look at the city, state, suburb, area, word, and then you include that in the page title. And then what that does is that helps the search engine understand that that's local. So that when someone searches for plumber, Wichita, Kansas, you want a geocode at the end, but not necessarily put the company name on every page. You want to decide which pages does it make sense to put the company name, but don't dilute the page titles by putting it's just not true. And Google is smart now anyway, and it doesn't need all that. By default, WordPress and other search engines use form fields. So when you create a new page on WordPress, it'll have fields, and this isn't the code, by the way, but it'll have like a word with a percent sign. Well, those, if you don't overwrite that, it'll just drop in. It'll put the company name, it'll put all that in as a default. But what you want to do is you want to erase all that crap, and you want to manually optimize the page. And so when you have a website, let's say there's 80 pages, focus on the pages that you want to get traffic to. If your careers page is not really where you're trying to get ranked because you don't want to have all your employees scabbed by another company, well, then maybe you don't SEO optimize it, just so when someone searches for graphic designers, Wichita, Kansas, I don't want my graphic designers to show up in the search result because I don't want them to be then prospected. At least make it harder for them to come to my website and find it. So you have to think strategically, do I want this content indexed, and do I want this to be a top relevant page? And then focus on the ones that are relevant. But I will say this, that it's really important when you have a website to look at how many pages you have indexed in Google. And there's a trick that you can all do. And that's where you type in site, and then your URL, your domain. But don't put no HTTPS, none of that. And don't even put the www dot. I just want and then the .com or .biz or whatever it is. So when you type in site : into Google, this is a Google field or a Google's trick. It will show you on desktop, it doesn't work on a phone, it'll show you how many pages do you have indexed in Google. And so the first thing I do when someone calls us to rebuild a website is I type in site : and then this gives me a listing of all the pages and their meta descriptions that Google has. And then I'm able to see, do they have SEO on a scale of 1 to 10? Have they keyword rich it? Do they have keywords? Because it shows me all the page titles. So it's a way for a developer or a company to go see, is there actual SEO on a website? And there's been so many times I get a prospect calling us about digital marketing, and they say, oh, I'm paying someone $500 a month for SEO. And I'm like, really? And I put site : in, and their homepage is called home. And there's no company name. And their services page just says services. Well, generic words, that doesn't mean anything. There's no way, it's like those books covered white, no one's going to find it. Make sense? So page titles, the number of words, the number of characters, the order of the words, and the relevancy of the content on the page all help with that. The description is the headline to get me to click. So if whatever I'm searching for, it's relevant to put the company name, then put it. But if I'm searching for how to unclog a toilet, let's just say, then I want the description to say easy ways to unclog your toilet, because I want the click. They're going to go to my website, Bowers Plumbing or whatever it is, and then they're going to, which is a real client by the way, and then they're going to see all the different things there. But it doesn't have to say brought to you by Bowers Plumbing. Because at the time, put yourself as the intent. This all comes down to intent. What is the user's intent? Am I trying to hire a plumber? Then I want a company name and a phone number. Am I trying to find a solution? Then it's more broad. So you want to write the headline with the number of words that are going to encourage the person to click. The question is, do you need to put the phone number? I recommend putting phone numbers and things in those meta descriptions because sometimes people won't even click on it. They'll just pick up the phone right from the search results and they'll call. So that does help. Now, obviously, we could talk about offsite SEO, and if you're a local business, you should be using Google Business Listings, and you should be using Bing Local, and you should be optimizing for local, and there's schema data, and there's a ton of other things that we could have gone into. But certainly, the most important thing is to just look at it through the eyes of a prospect. Is it easy to find? Does the contact form work? Can I look at the phone number? I mean, you'd be surprised of how many critiques we do where I say to the prospect, what do you want? And they're like, we want the phone to ring. And I'm like, where's your phone number? It's not in the header. It's not in the footer. Oh, well, it's on our contact page. You go to the contact page and it's hidden real small. I mean, don't make people hunt. People on the internet are like wandering monkeys on crack looking for the banana. They don't take the time. They don't read all your pages. They're not going to click through. I mean, think about the last website that you went to. You went to the couple pages that you wanted to, and then you're gone. You're not reading every single page. Okay, maybe some people, but certainly not someone like me. The question is, as you have, like for me, I have keynote presentations, and then I have presentations on sales and customer experience and negotiations and workplace culture. Well, you want those sub-pages to be very specific keyword search phrases. You don't want it /keynotes. Now, one of the things that we didn't discuss that I should have added into those first 6 or 7 things that are listed was the URL, the URL hierarchy of your website. So you have your domain, which is whatever the top level domain and your extension is. So in our case, primeconcepts.com, profitrichresults.com, Fortify.tv, and that's F-O-R-D-I-F-Y. All right, so you have that, but then you have what comes after, the path. Well, really? Okay, so the path, how you name the page is also something for SEO. So I wouldn't want it to just say keynotes. I'd want it to say business keynotes or business speaker keynotes, because I want the search engines to help use the keywords in it. Now, sometimes it might be a generic one, but I don't want, if I'm a home builder, I don't want it to just say /services. Now, if you're doing direct mail or other forms of advertising or putting links on Facebook, then you want to consider the path to be short so that when you display the path, people are more likely to click on it. What you don't want is a path that says strategic remodeled KS, remodeledks.com /residential remodeling Wichita, Kansas. I don't want a big long link like that if someone's visually going to be clicking on it, because it's too long and long links scare people. So there's strategy behind how you use the URL. But you certainly want to, when you're doing your keywords and you're putting on-site SEO, you want to consider what's the relationship, what's the dynamics, what makes the most sense, because these are rules that you need to understand. These aren't absolutes. What you're doing is you're helping the search engines understand what is the content, and you're helping the user understand what's the content. Remember, always write for the user first, then for the search engines. That's for its sake. So hopefully you, whatever platform you're watching this on, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the comments. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and I'll see you on the next episode. Whenever the hell we're going to get that done, I don't know. Bye for now.